Councilwoman Shivers, can you hear us?
She's muted.
I can see her mouth moving.
I'm wondering if we're running into the same issues as
Oh, you
last
hit,
time.
ask to unmute again.
I need to call her again.
You want me to call on this phone?
If you don't mind.
Okay.
She's just muted.
Ms. Ernestine, you were muted, and now you're in the meeting, so stay on the phone.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Do we need to bring the white people?
That doesn't move.
Oh,
It's wide open.
it's white. I thought it was white.
Where's she go? Did she go to?
Hey,
Hey,
what's going on?
hey.
Nothing much.
How's everybody?
Yeah.
What's up?
Hey, how you doing, man?
Okay.
Hey.
Tell me how it's going.
What's going on?
No, Kevin's coming.
Well, I told him.
So,
Hi, how are you, Chief?
I'm well, how are
pull it
you?
up?
Awesome,
Hold it
thank
right
you. We got a form now,
You
huh?
You wanna see this?
You wanna pull the round table up?
Is there somebody else coming?
Maybe Kevin, so, just in case.
If he's late though, I feel like he can just, he can go sit in the corner.
He can take the corner. Thank you.
All right, let's, call the meeting to order, roll call vote, please.
Councilman Foxenheimer,
Here.
Councilwoman Bayek, here, Councilwoman Campbell,
Here,
Councilman Nelson,
Present,
Councilwoman Shivers.
Ms. Shivers,
Didn't we have her on the phone?
There she is.
Yeah.
She came.
can you hear Ms. Shivers?
she said something, but.
She seems to be speaking.
Here.
Yeah.
He had her on the phone too.
Ms. Shivers, your phone on?
I think maybe the problem is that she's on Zoom on her phone and she might not be able to also,
I see.
like there might be some interference there.
Yeah, you have to scroll and.
I think she's speaking.
We can't hear
And
you.
I've asked her to unmute, like,
Hey.
use the button.
Did you mute your computer? Look at your computer screen. Do you see a mute or a
Well, it looks
circle
like she's looking at her phone.
that's white?
Share like that.
I didn't put a
You
lot
can't
of effort into that.
I've tried, but I don't have that.
Try to call her again, like hang up and call her again.
I was gonna say if she opened
Councilman Evans,
Yes.
Councilwoman Cleveland is absent and Councilman Jackson is absent.
Ms.
Okay.
Ernestine, you may have to turn your computer off, to mute it or whatever, because we can't hear you, when you, talk on the phone. Can you hear me?
I wonder, I can hear you clearly, yes.
They just wanted you, we're doing the attendance, they wanna hear you say yes or no, you're here.
Okay, yes, I am here.
Thank you.
Okay. So, can you hear us
Yeah,
now?
quorum.
Yeah.
Good.
I'm gonna start over and come back in, okay?
Okay,
When she
Well,
comes back in,
Ms.
tell her
Shivers-
make sure she gives her,
We don't need a roll call vote tonight, so if you just wanna stay on speakerphone, that's probably fine.
yeah, just stay on speakerphone, you don't need to, be
Sure.
visible, right?
Okay, okay, thank
Okay,
you.
yeah, you're good.
Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, so first we have a discussion of city council workshop meeting for, efficiency. So this is an item that I wanted to talk about. Not Sam, Steve and, Karen and I, sat through a really good, workshop about running, city meetings. And I thought that the workshop would be good for everyone to hear. I'm not sure if we could actually, we would have to pay for everybody to watch it though, because it's $10 through the municipal league for each member. So I don't know if they could give us like is it the Muni League? Did I say it wrong?
So the link is actually a one-time fee and we can share it and it's not an additional
Oh, we
cost.
can share it, okay.
So it'd be $10.
Okay.
It's just flat $10 for everybody.
Okay, so the important parts of the meeting that, were discussed, and Steve, you can chime in. One of the things that I thought was really good was that there was, which we used to do, was a consent agenda. And the consent agenda would basically be like topics that were non-controversial we would put in there. Right now, our meetings seem to be running about like 3, it's close to 4 hours, sometimes. And just to like not to hold off, but to cut down on some of that, like unnecessary back and forth with the yays and the nays, and everything. So, Sam, what would be something that would go into the consent, like the meeting, like minutes for previous,
Yeah.
from previous meetings? What else?
So you always have the minutes, usually contract approvals that are not, controversial, so just kind of like routine stuff. Sometimes board appointments that
What would
aren't
be an example
controversial,
of that, like,
like a,
which one that
accept,
we've already done that could have gone in there?
like accepting a bid for something that's already been budgeted, that's like, let's say under, you know,
Like park tree removal. or
Okay,
something.
yeah.
Right,
Yes.
yeah.
And then also the other thing that would go in there would be the, staff reports. So we could put those in the consent agenda. And then certainly if you have questions about like things that are in there, you can certainly still like call Sam or call staff members and ask them. But I think that'll reduce a lot of, it'll kind of like get us into the nitty gritty, into the meat of the workshop. So that's something that we already have, we've done before, we kind of got away from it, and everything. So let's say you get the packet and there's a consent agenda, and then the minutes are in there for last week, and it says that you were absent, or you voted yes and you actually voted no. So you would call ahead of time and say, hey, I looked this over and this isn't, this isn't what I voted or whatever, and then it could be done then. Yana, did you have a minute? Did you do this?
Who's drinking?
Oh, okay. The other thing that I would like to try to eliminate is, I think we need to, and I think I need to do a better job of this with like the discussions and like us talking over each other, because people have said that they cannot hear. So one of the things that I think is really important, that we make sure that everyone is present when the discussions are going on, and then everyone is able to actually hear what motion is being said, or if there's an amendment, and also that people are able to hear other people's questions, and also other people's points to the discussion. So the waiting to be recognized by the chair and then asking your questions in a manner, there should only be one person talking at a time. So when we have discussions that kind of get convoluted, if it's hard for us to hear what's going on, then it's also hard for our citizens and the audience to hear what's going on. And I think that's something that I certainly need to make sure that I'm working on. So one, waiting to be recognized by the chair. The other thing is making sure that we're staying on topic and that we're not getting off topic, which tends to lead to tangents that have nothing to do with the actual bill or the actual ordinance that's going on. So these times, like these workshops, is when we want to ask our questions and when we want to get all that stuff out. Theoretically, when we come to the meeting, you would already know, like everything would be hammered out, and you would maybe have a few questions or a few comments, but theoretically, you would just know that how you're going to vote, which means that you've already discussed things with Sam, you've already discussed things with your counterpart, and everything. You've already done your own research, and everything, and those things are like kind of like hammered out, like here. And then when we get on the dais, then it's just a 2-3 minute, like, yes, no, this is what I think, and then we vote. So that's where I would like our meetings to kind of like head into, if anybody has any.
During the meeting, the consent agenda was critical. There was 3 people on the panel, and every one of them have it. And that way, whenever the agenda and things come out, you've got a day or 2 to either call or send a text or an email to Sam to get clarification about something. And most of those folks only have 1 meeting a month. That's how effective that works for them. The second thing is everything goes through the chair. And the unique part about a council is everyone's gonna have their own opinion, and there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody does. But there only needs to be one person talking, and they're really strict about it, the 3 different municipalities. So it's run very efficiently. It's about 2 hours is what they say, for one time a month. So it does work, is what I'm getting at. And so,
It's the way the county council runs.
right.
So that's basically what I'm looking to do. The other thing is too, as a segue into that, on the dais, I think that changing the seating would be most effective. So in the middle would be the chair. And then on the left side, if we're looking here, it would be people that have been voted in on a even number year. And then on this side, it would be people that have been voted in on an odd number year. And so it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Does that make sense?
No, it doesn't.
So can you see the dais?
Well, I understand what your statement was, but if we're going by other municipalities in St. Louis County, their seat holds until the end of their term. They don't change seating.
I'm not going by other municipalities. I'm going by what I think would be a more effective meeting for us to.
Okay, I don't agree with that. I apologize, but I don't agree with it.
And I mean, yeah, change is hard. You know, it's difficult.
No, it isn't hard for me at all, but I don't see the meaning of it. How did you come up with that conclusion?
So the three things that I just talked about how I think for citizens it would be easier for them to see, like who's been elected where. Does
The
that make?
citizens in Ward 3 and Ward 2 are very aware of where they should be seated, who's seated where and by name. Everyone is stating their name and they know who their elected officials are by face and by communicating with them. Seating has nothing to do with it.
Okay, so
I mean, that's something that you do like in preschool or something to that effect, seating. And we don't need seating. Everyone can see and they know who their council person is.
mm-hmm. Anyone else have an opinion?
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, that's the way it's been going for years. I don't think we need to change it because if there's a new board member coming in, that seat's gonna be vacant. If one got a new member at 1, then that number 1's gonna be over there. And
So
they're gonna
what
correspond
what
with
if
them.
one of the people has a physical disability, like they can't hear, they're deaf in one ear? And so I'm just saying, okay, this over here, and then you've got two people from a different ward, and they're chit-chatting, they're doing whatever, and this person over here literally cannot hear what's going on.
Well, we don't know the person that's going to run for office. We don't know what their situation is.
No, I'm talking
firsthand.
about once they're here, we know.
Well, I just don't agree with changing the seating. I mean, we
Yeah, I
really
mean-
will.
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So that's just my opinion. You know?
Yeah, I mean, what's the purpose of it?
So I think one of the purposes is to let the citizens know who's visually, it's a good tactic to see who has been voted and when. So if I'm looking,
Yeah,
If
like
I'm-
who's
if I'm
gonna-
looking
whose
at
seat
the
is gonna be
dais.
up next?
whose seat is gonna be up next? So I know, like for instance, if I'm the even person, I would be here at 4, right? And so I would know as a citizen that everyone to the left is up for reelection.
Right.
If the year ends in 0, 2, 4, 6, 8.
Oh, but
And then on
Yeah.
this side, it would be everyone who has 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 for the end of their year would be over here.
Yeah, but
And then
see,
the other thing is too, when we're voting, well, I won't get into that yet. But I think it also, it gives a visual. I think too, we've already talked to each other, and everything, like, before. I don't think moving a person to a different seat, I think it would basically cut down on some of, one, the chatter. I think
Oh.
two, it will cut down on some of like the who's next, or like who that person is. And it gives a cohesiveness to basically like the dais.
So in other words, make a long story short, you're trying to cut down on chatter that goes up
So
on
there's three things.
the board.
So I think one of you, it'll be visually appealing, right? So so people, I get questions all the time, who's up? I get questions like, who's up for reelection, right?
But you know,
And then the other thing is too, you've already, when we're sitting next to each other, you want the flow to be so that it's succinct. And I think that changing the order of those things would provide that.
Excuse me. I think that it's not like we got 50 people, residents in here. I'm trying to get as many residents to come to board members' meetings as possible. And that's our responsibility. And we have failed at that, getting people from the ward to be here. And, because the citizens need to know. They need to know what's going on. But I don't think it's a problem, and I think it would be a problem for the citizens to have us come in here and do this elementary thing about where we need to sit. It's already established, and it's something that I don't think we need to even try and deal with, because if there's chatter, whatever chatter there is, you are the board, head of the board. So, I mean, if there's a problem, you need to pull that person aside and speak to them. Say, hey, listen, we don't need that, because you're hosting. So we have to take control.
Chairing and hosting is very different.
Well, chair, if we have to go through the chair to speak to a department head when they're up to speak, then she's hosting. Okay?
No, it's not the same.
Well, explain to me, Vicki.
The chair is a very clearly recognized and defined board position, okay?
Right.
It's a board position, it's clearly, hosting is a game show, and that's not what we
Well, I
want.
want to say that then, if you look at it like that. She's an arm of the board, okay? Whatever goes through, as far as talking to the department heads, it has to go through her, because she's head of the chair, right?
She's chair.
Right. Okay, so if she's got a problem with someone that's chatter or whatever, then she need to go to that person and talk to them.
So this is the thing. We all agree that I'm the chair.
Right.
We all agree that the meeting is run by me. We all agree with that?
Right.
Yes.
We all agree that we will listen to the chair. We all agree with that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
So-
we should all agree that we listen and then make ample sense of what the chair is trying to address to the entire council.
So we all agree that we all agree that I'm the chair.
Yeah,
Whoever
until-
sits in the seat is the chair.
Until the election.
Okay.
So he or she that comes in, I don't think that seating has anything to do with it. Knowing how to run a meeting, that's number one. That's the priority. When you come in, we should know what to vote on. How do we vote? And knowing how to run a meeting is priority
Yeah.
in the council.
But
So that's number one. Seating is not number one.
Okay. Can we, Chief Sanders has something to say.
So, thank you for the audience very quickly. I don't sit on the Diaz, I sit in the audience. And from an audience perspective, and I've heard it from citizens who have come to me after the meeting, it appears that there are cliques upon the council. And so when the people from the wards that are together in wards sit together, there is chatter. And when people ask questions, a lot of times being a person in the audience, you can feel very ganged up upon by the two people that are sitting together, because it's almost like a symbiotic mind or a symbiotic vibe that starts happening when one person says something, then the other person jumps in. Now it's not just the one person that was directing the question, you're being bombarded by two people and they're from the same ward. And so it
Well,
gives.
on board against the citizens?
No, I'm saying as a department head, that's the image that it gives off to the citizens, that there's cliques amongst the council, and that the cliques that are operating amongst the council are operating to hinder things from happening, and they're operating as a cohesive group. I don't know if you guys see what's going on in Bell Fountain Neighbors, where their city council is
Right.
divided directly in half with the mayor square at the middle, and they're getting a lot of reverberation and a lot of feedback from their community about how it appears that there are cliques that exist in the city government that supersede the beneficial reason that everyone's sitting there, which is the betterment of the constituents. So I think it would do away with the appearance of cliques and groups. It would give, like Yolanda said, a more cohesive look amongst the council, where although everybody can have their own opinions and you guys can meet and discuss how you're going to vote before, it doesn't look like people are sitting there trying to coerce people to vote their way, or having sidebars like, well, I'm not on board with it, so hey, wink, wink, elbow, shoulder, shoulder, you're not gonna be on board with it too. It would give the council a overall better look to the citizens, that we are a collective and unified body. And so, kind of sort of like what happens in the house stays in the house, that we may disagree behind closed doors, but in the public eye, we show them that they have a cohesive and functioning city government that looks good to them. Thank you.
I just want to stay on point here. The Mayor Pro Tem is not pointing anything out to single anyone out. She's trying to figure out ways to make the meetings more efficient and speed them up. This is my 15th year. I'm all for shaking it up and giving it at least a trial to see if it would speed it up.
Can I just say something? We're kind of like going around the house with this. I think our biggest issue is we don't abide by parliamentary procedures. Our Robert's Rules of Order, we don't do it. You know, we don't respect one another on the board. You know, we interfere with them talking. I understand that you're the chair, but there's some times that you have to let a city council speak what they feel, and tell us, especially if they're speaking for the citizens, you know, and that's what we don't do. We tend to, as far as cliques are concerned, we got a lot of cliques. We got a lot of cliques in employment. They got employees that got their little cliques. So cliques or something, they're there, you know? So the bottom line is that if we just abide by the Robert's Rules of Order, parliamentary procedures, and just do our due diligence, grow up, be grown, and just do what we need to do for the city. You know, all these reinventing the wheel, it doesn't make sense, you know? This is our seat. Before I was on this board, before you were on the board, or anybody was on the board, Tony's been there the longest. That's where it's set up. You know, at one time they had microphones where you can hear. You know, we have felt so far from the citizens' eye view, and they're watching. They don't like what's happening in our city. You know, we got a lot of stuff, and the cover up and the favoritism and all that. Let's be grown. Let's do what we need to do for the citizens of this city, because I care about this city and I care about the kids and the grown-ups. You know, that's the bottom line. We as elected officials, we live in this city. The employees don't live in this city. The employees do not run the city. They work for the city. We are the boss. Now, when are we going to be the boss? That's the bottom line. I don't have anything else to say, so.
I don't understand.
I would like to comment on Chief Sanders as far as clicks go, and what the citizens of Normandy are saying, especially Ward 3, because news travels, positive news travels, and as my father used to say, it all comes out in the wash.
Always.
And we know that we have certain people, or people that lead the department, that ask people to go out to lunch. What is
Wait,
that if
wait,
it's
I,
not
wait,
clicking?
I think,
Now, what is that if it's not clicking? Trying to have a click with someone or get a point across.
I think we're getting off,
That's what you call click. No, I'm not.
I think we're getting,
That's what I'm talking about with you butting in.
okay, so
When
we've
I
already,
make a
we've
mistake.
already said that I'm the chair, yes? And this is,
Yeah,
this
but
is,
you're not supposed to butt in when
I can't say that
Right,
this
can
is
she
off
finish?
topic.
This
No,
is
she
the
cannot.
time.
No,
Robert
she
was
cannot.
right.
So this is what we're gonna do. We're done with this discussion. This is what we're gonna do. The seating will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
I think we need to
That
vote
will,
on this.
that will be the seating.
No, we're gonna have
Does
to
that
vote
need
on
to be a
this.
vote, Andy?
Yeah, we'll have to
I-
vote on it.
No, the chair,
I'm sitting
the
in that
chair
seat right
organizes and calls the meeting and sets the agenda.
That's a new one for me. I'll admit that.
I'm gonna sit in my elected official seat. That's where I'm sitting.
Me
That's what I'm
as
gonna
well.
say.
Let me do some research on that. It's a parliamentary question. I need to do some research on that.
Yeah, do that research.
And Mayor,
And
just to add context, because there's always, this is what I mean by feeling attacked. There's always a lot of things that are said, and there's never any context put on them. I did invite Ms. Harris to lunch because she told me that I had personally offended her. So I told her, let's go talk. One of
Wait,
a resident,
I'm confused.
a
Wait,
resident-
let's not,
a
I'm not.
resident of the city of,
I'm
I
not-
want the
wait, I
context to
want-
be on the
wait,
record. This is what I was
We need,
referring
we need
to.
to, we need to stop. We need to stop. We need to stop. This is, this is not that, okay? I have no knowledge of anybody if you wanna take somebody to lunch
It's
and
my
pay with your
purview.
money, then
It's
that's
my
fine.
privilege. Thank you.
I am talking about this particular topic, and this kind of brings me to the reason why I brought this topic up. Once again, the 3 things that we are doing that are inappropriate are, 1, getting off task, 2, spending time talking about things that have nothing to do with what's on the agenda, and 3, it's just messy and it's inappropriate. I do not care what other people do with their money. Do not bring that here. What I'm saying is, it is uncomfortable for people for change, okay? But everyone has sat here and agreed that I am the chair, that I run the meeting, that it is up to me. Everyone has said that. But when I am not done. But when I make a decision, you don't have to like the decision. If I'm going against the ordinance, like I've said before, then I will certainly step back and say, okay, this is how it needs to be done. Now, if that does not go against the ordinance, then we're gonna be sitting 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And yes, it is uncomfortable, and it does not feel good and everything, but that is what's gonna happen.
Well,
So, the next thing that I want to talk about, we're going on to number 2. We're going on to number 2, Council Bill number 24-19. What I would like to do is, you're out of order. 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 You are out of order. You are out of order. You are out of order. Council Bill number 24-19. So what I would like to do with that one is, practice how we introduce a bill and practice how that is supposed to go. So I'm gonna introduce it. Andy's here and Sam's here so they can tell us where we're going wrong. But I think another thing, after we watch the video, another thing that would be good to do is to look at the videos that we already have of ourselves. And I plan on doing this and seeing like where the breakdown actually is. Does that make sense?
Makes sense to me.
So we're just gonna, so when we have a workshop, we're gonna be sitting here. When we have a council meeting, we'll be sitting at the dais. So we're gonna pretend that we're sitting at the dais and we're gonna introduce Council Bill number 24-19. So this is how the process is supposed to go. So we have the item, and the item is then, what do you call it, like led in by a staff member or or me or Sam or whoever.
Because I was treated rudely.
Excuse me, you're out of order. You are out of order. Please refrain. Please show some decorum and refrain, please. Please refrain. Please refrain. We're on topic number 2. Please refrain.
She left the meeting.
So what's supposed to happen is we have at a regular meeting, we have the item that's introduced.
I'm gone.
Okay,
I'm
see ya.
gone.
I think that.
So we have the item that's,
Excuse me.
no, I do not recognize you. So we're on number 2. So what's supposed to happen is we have the item that's
We
introduced,
don't have a quorum.
and then we have the staff, we
We
have
have
the
5.
staff members, we have 5. And then the questions happen during that time. Does that make sense?
No, because I'm getting ready to leave the meeting too, and we won't have a quorum.
That is certainly.
Good night.
So, what happens is the person that's presenting
I'm
will then
leaving.
answer questions.
I'm leaving.
Then the motion is approved for question, or
We don't have a
the
quorum,
questions
so the meeting's
happen,
over.
and then the motion, there's a motion to approve. And then we have our debate. So I would like to try to keep it in that order, in that type of.
Chair,
order.
recognize I'm leaving the meeting. Thank you.
Have a good night, drive safe.
Yes.
Okay, there is no quorum.
And we have a discussion
There's no
without a
quorum.
quorum. No quorum. We could be out at,
I
You
should have
said-
just went home. Sorry, y'all. But that is exactly what I was referring to when I said the attacks.
Let's stop talking, I'm not.
Yeah,
That would be a motion to adjourn.
let's adjourn, well, we absolutely need a motion to adjourn, and then we can
So
discuss the
moved.
question of whether
Second,
some people are just gonna sit around and have a conversation.
yeah.
All in favor?
aye.
Opposed? All right.
Well.
Okay, so
Let's go.
we're